Welcome to a quick tutorial on setting up an FTP or web service from one of your systems. First, we will need to add a new system to your Desync dashboard. For this example, we will be using a Woocommerce store. However, we can set this up on multiple applications. Copy and paste your Woocommerce keys and credentials. Once you have added in all of your Woo details, the new system will be added to the dashboard. Don't forget, if you are setting up Woocommerce, we will need read-write permissions associated with the keys you set up. The next step is to add the FTP, or the destination for your web service output. Select Plus System, then select Add New Blank. Name the new output location. Click on the new setup and then on the right select Add Endpoint. Name your endpoint. In the type field, we will be calling this Destination, as we will be sending data to the FTP. In the section connector type, please select FTP. You should now have a new system with a new endpoint added to your Desync dashboard. Now we will need to go and gather the authorization settings and set up the FTP data layout. When setting up a data layout, we always refer to the JSON or XML data provided by the system we are looking to connect. Generally, the most up-to-date data layout code is available within the system's API documentation. What we are doing here is setting up a correct data layout. The correct XML and JSON code for products is usually available. From within the system's API docs, we can also obtain the correct API URL and method for Desync to communicate with. Once you have located the XML JSON code for the layout, return to Desync. Double-click on the system to bring up the endpoint details. Paste the JSON copied code into the pop-up box. This will create for you the data layout of Woocommerce products or whatever snippet you instructed our editor to put in. Let's create the new endpoint on the Woocommerce side. Click on the system. On the right-hand side, select Add Endpoint. Name the endpoint. For the output connection, the type would be considered as the source, as this is the origin. For the connector type, we would indicate API, as we are using the Woocommerce API to output the data. This will create a new API endpoint underneath our system. Let's click on the new endpoint we have just created and set up the data layout. Copy and paste the same sample JSON data for products we use for the FTP setup above. Now the next step is to set up the authorization on each side of the sync. By clicking on the endpoint on the right panel, the settings will appear. The URL will be your website URL, followed by the URL provided by the system as the HTTP request URL. Enter in the correct method. Example, GET method. Authorization should be used if you have not used the wizard to pre-authorize the system. Now that we have set up one side, we will also need to put in the right settings for the FTP side of the integration. By clicking into the FTP side, we will need to set up all of the FTP access details. It is important to make sure all of the credentials are correct for the sync to occur properly. Now let's make a link. Click on the system endpoint, then select Create Relation/Link. Then click on the FTP endpoint we have set up. Name the job. Let's create a new data map for the sync. Now let's scroll through the map to make sure we have all the required fields identified with the red asterisks. Add some fields and pair up to the corresponding data. Okay, let's save the map. Perfect. As you can see, the color of the link is changed to aqua, meaning the sync looks good to go. You have now just set up a product export from Woocommerce to your desired FTP location. To test the job, simply select the Run button on the right panel. Let's test it out. Success! You can always check any error logs under the History section by selecting Show More. Another handy feature is the ability to view the source. You will also need to schedule when you would like the job to run at your required interval. Thank you for watching how to connect Woocommerce to an FTP location. Desync can connect multiple systems to different web services. For more information, please help to talk to our friendly team.